Hi, my name is Brian Pentland, and I want to give you a brief overview of ThreadNet. I've just finished attending the 10th Process Organization Studies Symposium here in Greece, and I had an opportunity to talk to quite a few people about ThreadNet. Of course, everyone has questions, so I thought I'd put together a very quick PowerPoint to help answer some of them. The first thing, obviously, what is ThreadNet? Well, it's a tool for visualizing patterns in processual phenomena. It draws pictures based on your data and provides a window onto the patterning and performing that are the sort of central idea in routine dynamics. Now, in this presentation, I'm not going to show a lot of screenshots and stuff. There's a separate user documentation that looks like this, that's got all the details and describes the concepts and how to actually use it. Here, I just want to talk about the very big picture. So, for example, what do we mean by a network in ThreadNet? Well, the idea is based on the idea of a narrative network as a way of representing organizational routines. It's different from a social network because the nodes are categories of action, events, or narrative fragments. The edges represent sequential relationships between those nodes. The key thing, event networks are not social networks. But why do we care about networks at all then? Well, it turns out it's a convenient way to summarize patterns, right? Patterns of actions or events, and also possibilities for performing the pattern. And that's a really powerful thing. People often think of networks as static, but that's kind of like the bad old days. Currently, that's not the way we think of it. ThreadNet, of course, includes other kinds of visualizations besides networks, but this is the sort of big concept. And the reason so what's the big idea? Okay, consider the analogy between social networks and event networks. I think it's fair to say that social network analysis has really transformed how we see the social world. It may be hard to remember back when, but just for example, individual demographic characteristics are now sort of seen as less important than network connections in many situations. Just one example. We have concepts like homophily, transitive closure, assortivity that explain a lot of what happens in social structure. And so for social networks and dynamics of social networks in particular, we have concepts, tools, and just a lot of empirical studies. Now, contrast that with event networks. Now, compared to social networks, event networks are just unexplored territory. We know that processual phenomena change over time. I mean, I just was here for 3 days and everyone's talking about, becoming, unfolding of process over time. I think we need to learn how to see in the processual realm. We need to develop theory and conceptual vocabulary. Of course, people are doing that now. But we also need to develop visual literacy. So when we see something, we understand what it means, right? That's what has happened in the realm of social networks, and I think we're ripe for the same kind of transformational inquiry in the realm of event networks. So how can ThreadNet help? How can it help you in particular? Well, the first thing, it's intended to facilitate inquiry, to ask new and different questions, to help you see patterns you might not otherwise see. It's exploratory, not confirmatory, right? So there's no statistics, none of that stuff. There's emphasis on comparison, and in particular comparison over time so that you can visualize change, comparison from alternative points of view, which is, I think, quite important, but often overlooked as an idea, and also variable granularity. When you're looking at events, the question is what counts as an event, right? And rather than worrying about that, why not explore it? Like I've implemented a function that I call zooming that allows you to change the granularity of an image as you please. So it's easy enough to use, no programming required, simple data format, minimum ontological assumptions, and it's free. You can just download and run it. I've tried to make it so that the cost benefit, if you try it out and it's not particularly helpful, well, you haven't really lost too much in terms of time or effort. But if it is helpful, the upside potential is pretty substantial. What I'm particularly excited about, of course, is that this is a work in progress. Um, as we gain some users that are interested in trying it out, they will find things that are that could be improved, find things that they'd like to see differently. Um, Anyone can submit issues, bugs, or ideas on GitHub, and you can also email ideas to me at this email address. So that's good. If you're particularly ambitious and you know how to write some code in R, it's open source. You can you can clone the repo on GitHub and submit a pull request, and it's very cool. There's a lot of ripe targets for improvement and innovation here. I think more visualization would be at the top of the list. If you have a particular way that you want to see your data and can figure out how to implement it, that would be fantastic. Also, how to transform data, for example, clustering occurrences into events in different ways. There's a lot of opportunities there. The user interface could be improved. The workflow could be improved so that it's better integrated into the actual work of doing a research project. So there's a lot of good things we can improve here. You can get ThreadNet. There's installation instructions and more detailed documentation at this website at MSU. And I just wanted to thank you so much. And please get in touch if you have questions. Thanks.